being a landlord doesn't come with a script.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. Because when you're sitting down and looking at your investment, the capital that you have,
Yes,
and where you want to put it, you will always think of the end game. Like, if we do this, we'll
Yes.
make this kind of money.
Yes.
And we had the apartments that we still have. We lost 1 year's rent because we gave it to an agent who kept telling us that there was no one in the place. So the agent got frightened and called me, oh no, you can't, because you see, it collected money. And then the tenant gave me all the months they paid by M-Pesa to the agent.
Okay.
Yeah, we even got the agent put in for like 10 days.
Wow.
In the police, yeah, when
That
he
was
begged.
fraud.
Yeah, it was a total fraud. The first month that I took you on, I didn't even look at the app. I just looked at my phone, money's coming in, money's coming in, money's coming in. I'm like, okay, this looks like it's working. And then when I totaled the value, because if you're used to getting rent from a certain property,
Yeah.
you know what you should receive.
Oh, hi, my name is Bramwell. So, I constantly interact with a lot of people, especially those who have a key focus in property management and real estate. And some of the questions they ask me is, Bramwell, what do I need to do to become a new landlord in Kenya? Question number 2, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the successes? And most importantly, what do I do to make it a success for me? Well, join us in today's journey. We meet a successful young entrepreneur who's done it successfully and disembarked all the myth about being a landlady in Kenya. And it's important for you to take notes because some of the key insights she's going to give you is actually going to help you become the next successful story. So please feel free, comment, share, like, drop your questions, and if there's anything that you'd like to see on more subsequent episodes, drop down on the comment section. But without further ado, join me as we go talk to her. Karibu sana.
Thank you.
So please tell us about yourself. What is your good name and anything interesting about you?
Okay. Good morning. My name is Valentine. I'm an investor in real estate. Amongst other things, I like to play golf when I have the time. I also love to sew, and I'm generally interested in financial planning, financial investments, things like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Great. Mm-hmm. So one of the questions that our audience have been begging for me to ask the next investor in the show is, and I'll read it to you. We did actually a survey. Mm-hmm. So your thoughts about real estate investing from a woman's perspective. Who are better investors, men or women?
Real estate really, well, I can't put it on men or women per se, but what I'd love to say is that you really have to be keen on what you're looking for in real estate. What's the end game? I mean, like if it's for future financial goals, then you want to invest, especially in Kenya right now. You want to invest in the low income sector,
right?
Because that's a place where people don't have good housing.
Yes.
And, the market is, I would say, endless, really.
Right.
For the other markets, middle class and whatever, they've been catered for already.
Right.
So if you really do, want to put your money where it will grow,
right,
you need to be in the low income space.
And that's an interesting fact because, again, many people have this myth that investing in the high-end market actually has better ROI. And of course, it begs me to ask you, as an investor, you have invested in the low-income areas. Mm. So where is your, property located?
Our property is located in Waithaka.
Okay.
And we started the investment in 2018.
Right.
By first locating a site.
Right.
And then leasing. We've actually leased the property for 17 years.
Okay.
And I think we're probably on the fourth, maybe 4.5 years.
Oh, wow.
We started by building late 2018.
Yeah.
And then by 2020 August, we were ready. But the delay, I mean, we should have been done, let's say, a year, but then the delay was also COVID.
Okay.
And then the working hours, first the closure, and then the working hours were really suppressed.
Yeah.
So that, but at that time, the investment was more affordable than it is now.
Okay.
I mean, right now you'd have to put in a little bit more, but still it's a sector that needs to be looked into because you can't gainsay it from the, the middle income. I will explain here.
Yeah.
I have invested in a chama, what we call chamas in Kenya, a women investment group.
Okay. Maybe also as you're expounding on investing as a group, also what are the advantages of actually investing as a group? Or what are the challenges of also equally investing as a group?
Well, the good thing about investing as a group is that you will achieve your goals quicker because of the pool, the fund.
The funds pool.
The funds pool, you pull. Well, you shouldn't also be too many so that when you share the profits, it seems something reasonable. I mean, you don't want to be 100 of you sharing 1 shilling, for instance. You want to be, we are like 15, and that's a good core group.
And these are all women?
All women.
Nice.
We've got a couple of members here, the larger group here, and a few in the US, who are interested. They joined in after we'd already formed the group and done a few investments. But when we wanted to do this particular investment in Kabiria, we had to look for more funds. And then we all gave each other homework to get other people that may want to join. We valued the company, gave the valuation, and we got about 5 new members from the US at the time. In 2018. So those funds, together with what we already had, enabled us to invest in this property. And the good thing is that once we finished and had the tenants, we now started achieving our investment goals by now receiving returns on the investment.
That's great.
And we also noticed that the reason why we actually went into the low end is that we had a middle class investment. 3 apartments somewhere. The revenue from the room, the Waithaka low quality area, low income area, is I would say about, in my estimation, about 5 times more. So in the low income area, we're looking, it's simple. I mean, you put up a room, 12 by 12. The space, the washroom space is shared. The washroom bathroom area is shared. But we're looking at 5,000 shillings per room.
Okay, because another question that I get a lot, because I actually meet a lot of investors and people who want to get into the real estate space. And they tell me they have a piece of land and they want to set up a residential apartment. Well, would you advise them to do singles, 1 bedrooms, 2 bedrooms, and what would you say is an average rent? Of course, if it's working for you, then what would you advise them?
Okay, I would advise them to go for like a multi mixed dwelling. Dwelling. They would do like some singles, and then bed sitters. Singles and bed sitters, because you're always getting. We have a young population, and schools and colleges are churning people out. They're coming into the cities. They need a place to stay. A 1 bedroom, a 2 bedroom. A 1 bedroom would be difficult to share. A 2 bedroom is out of reach. And single rooms. Single rooms can be shared also by students and people who are just starting out, and all they need is a place to crash in the evening when they come back. So, and you don't have money for furniture yet. You want to save in the beginning so that you're saving for your future space. So this is the place to start. It's inexpensive, it's cheap. You're just coming to crash at night. In the morning you wake up, get ready and go where you're going. It doesn't matter where you're coming from. All you need is...
We'll get to the challenges later. All right, great. So we had another question from one of our potential clients in the diaspora. And I remember mentioning to her that I'm actually meeting someone that this has worked out for her. And being a group of both local and diaspora Chama members, the question was this. Being a landlady can be challenging, especially when you are starting out. I think she wants to start out, right? From collecting rent, dealing with tenants, concerns, service providers to billing management. Well, did you have everything figured out?
Well, not really. I think initially, being a landlord doesn't come with a script.
Right.
And I'll tell you why. Because when you're sitting down and looking at your investment, the capital that you have,
Yes.
and where you want to put it, you will always think of the end game. Like, if we do this, we'll
Yes.
make this kind of money.
Yes.
But the in-between intricacies, there's never the record of losses. All those little things are never really, and when you start getting to that, that's when you know, oh, when this happens to you, I need to do this.
Yeah.
Like, for instance, before we got into this investment and we had the apartments that we still have, we lost 1 year's rent because we gave it to an agent who kept telling us that there was no one in the place.
Wow. Would you want?
And then when, one day I thought about it, and we're all busy. You're in work, you're in other, we're all investment, but we're a limited liability, yes.
Yes.
And we've given ourselves roles of
Right.
who will do what. We've
Right.
got an investment one, a financial whatever team, a social team. So we meet once a month. We look at, our contribution and what's coming in. And then we looked and we said, this particular house, we have a problem with the tenancy. We get 3 months,
Yeah.
then 6 months of dryness, then
Yeah.
3 months again. So one day I just decided to go out of my way
Yeah.
and look into it. And I drove there and I found somebody in the house.
Wow.
And I asked them, how long have you been here? And they were like, oh, I've been here since this month.
So maybe at that point, you mentioned you had an agent.
Yes.
Did you have a caretaker at site? Because I can
No,
imagine.
we didn't have a caretaker because we didn't need to have a caretaker. That's
yeah.
an apartment doesn't, you have an
Yes.
agent.
You have an agent
who's making sure that your
Yeah.
tenant is paying rent to the account that you've provided,
Right.
and he's collecting the receipts and keeping them for you.
Right.
So in this case, he was just putting his own person and then keeping on, oh, this person isn't there.
Right.
We don't have tenancy yet. Then he brought in one person for
Right.
2 months, and
Yeah.
that made me suspicious. I had a gut feeling that there's something wrong with this place. I need to go and check. And I got out of my way, drove to Mlolongo, because that's where the apartments are. And lo and behold, there was a tenant there who'd been there for months. And I threatened the tenant that I was going to evict them that day, because I didn't care. I've not received the money. Why are they in our space? So the agent got frightened and called me, oh no, you can't, because you see, it collected money. And then the tenant gave me all the months they paid by M-Pesa to the agent.
Okay.
Yeah, we even got the agent put in for like 10 days in the police. Yeah, when
That
he
was actually
begged.
fraud.
Yeah, it was a total fraud. Well, if I could do something to that guy, I would have shot him, done something. I was just pissed off.
Wow.
So eventually, we had to get another agent that I knew.
Right.
And then we kept the tenant for a while because now, you're looking at this, the person's already in there. They really did legitimately pay the rent
Right.
to the agent. Although, not legitimately, they did pay as they were supposed to, but to the wrong person.
Okay.
He convinced them that he's supposed to collect the rent and then
Right.
pay us.
Right.
So we got him to sign a new lease agreement directly with us,
Yeah.
gave him the bank account
Yeah.
of where
Yeah.
he should pay future rent. Of course, we were not too pleased, but we thought, taking him to the police, all this not going to work out. You know how the police works.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you'll lose.
But I'm hearing what you're saying, and let me just take you back a bit. Well, this is a group, and some of them are in the diaspora.
Yeah.
How then do you relay the communication, right? I'm assuming,
to be honest, this was before we got them on board.
Before you got them on
Yeah,
board.
so we
Okay.
cleaned up the situation,
Right.
got the tenant to now, because he was a decent guy.
Right.
And so we had to look and say, okay, we've lost for 11 months.
you had to
that was
really
like
put-
200,000,
Yeah.
because the rent was like 20K a month.
Okay.
So we lost that. So we gave it to an agent who operates property in that area. Now a proper agent with an office, not this walk-in, walk-out guy
Yes.
that we had, some guy who hangs about the gate.
Yes.
We found out he wasn't even really. So we got this one, and then the challenge with that is that we still have to pay like a 5% agency fee.
Right.
So when you look at what you're collecting and then what you're paying as 10% rental tax, well, from 2024, it's now gone down to 7.5 to the
Right.
government.
Yes.
And we do that because we're a limited liability. We pay our taxes.
Right.
So when you look at all the subtractions, it's other people making money other than you.
Right.
Yeah. You're probably going to walk away with maybe now 70% of your investment.
But then again, did it ease?
But yeah, it improved.
It improved, yeah?
Yeah, it improved.
Okay.
But then when we got to the property, that now we were putting up at Waithaka.
Right.
And
just for clarity, where is Waithaka?
Waithaka is in Kabiria. Just like after Kawangware, you take the route from Lavington and start going into the inner, sort of like the ghetto.
I'm assuming there's someone watching.
It's a Kenyan ghetto. Yeah, it's a Kenyan ghetto.
Well, you had it, guys.
Yeah.
All right.
So when we got, fortunately, when we got into that, we'd already started thinking of how we'll collect the rent, how we'll configure the deposits for the tenants. So we then had a main account that was running, and then we opened a rent collection account.
Okay.
So that deposit is paid. Deposit is not income.
Right.
You at some point you'll have to return it, minus the small things of you need to fix the room, paint the room, or whatever. And then the rent collection account is the one that pays the caretaker, the cleaner for the property, and any other, the tax, the
property expenses,
agents fees, and the agents fees.
Right.
So we got a company that had a smart app.
Okay.
And we thought, it was in good time. So we got into communication with them. We set up everything.
Okay.
And from the word go, they collected the rent.
Okay.
And then I'd check on the application who hasn't paid, and then call the agent and tell them, or rather the caretaker manager, and tell them this room and this room and this room are owing. Have you had a discussion with them? You need to lock the room. Right. The usual things that they do.
But I'm sensing the fact that you had to be very involved in all this.
Yeah, that was a frustration because all they were doing was getting the rent collected through their app. But they were not helping with the management, the collection, the reminders. I mean, that wasn't being done. And I think after 1 year, I thought, this is too much. I can't deal with it. Even when I travel, I'm in another continent, I'm on another time zone. I've got to go online and check, then wait for the proper daytime in Kenya and start sending WhatsApp messages. This need to do this, need to do that, need to do that. So it was very involving, and I couldn't really enjoy my holiday. I had to sort of, and we had learned from the previous agent who took our money that you have to be directly involved.
Yes.
You can't walk away from this.
Yes.
So, I took it as in the group, I said, okay, I'll take it up as something that I need to do to make sure we don't lose.
Okay.
Yeah. So we did that for a while. Then after 1 year, we're like, okay, this isn't working. Then we went back to an agent for the area. So he works within the area, has about 30 properties that he manages and stuff like that.
Right.
So we interloped him and now go through the same. He was, he would send this. But the problem with that was that his people that he used sometimes would be very rude to the tenants, even when it wasn't necessary.
Okay.
Get their lights switched off. Even, sometimes someone will tell you, give me 2 days. And they're genuinely meaning that, give me 2 days and I'll pay.
Yes.
So take it up and say, okay, if he doesn't pay by this date, then we'll take the measures that we need to take to make sure that the person doesn't have access to his accommodation until they pay. So some days they were not really good with the tenants, and that was a frustration because we are also losing.
Right.
If somebody's been there for a year and then for just 2 days they delay,
right.
Why are you being rude or throwing them out or treating them in any other way?
And would the tenants make attempt to reach you?
Sometimes they would, and the caretaker would call and say, the agent's frustrating, because now you have tiers. You have the caretaker who's there,
right.
You have the cleaner, and then now you have the agent. So the caretaker would constantly be calling you and saying, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that. And then there's also another problem. The caretaker is also, after 5 months of being there, they kind of get friendly with the tenants and they'll be like, oh, when a new tenant comes, you can pay my deposit to my phone. Don't worry, I'll forward it to this number.
What you're saying is, that's interesting because we actually have a lot of conversations with landlords and they feel like caretaker, hiring a caretaker would be the ultimate solution. But I think from your experience, I'm hearing a lot of, you're not very happy moments with your caretaker.
Yeah.
So you have an agent, you clearly have an app at some point, but you have a caretaker, but you're still involved.
I'm still involved because everything still comes back to you. There are some decisions you have to make, especially like money decisions.
Right.
You get a call, toilets are blocked. I'll get someone to unblock it for like 2K.
But you have an agent.
Well, now, I had a problem with the agent because the problem with the agent also is that they want to do all this work for you, but charge a premium. So at the end of the day, they also want to take almost 30% of your income.
Okay.
Because they want to paint the rooms for you.
Right.
They'll say, oh, we're going to use silk paint. Who uses silk paint for that type of accommodation? You're supposed to use the second level paint. I mean, clean rooms, yes, but not the first quality paint, second quality paint.
Yeah.
So the agent wants to do all these things to you at another premium of like 15%.
Wow.
When you're collecting this kind of rent, what is it? $50, $40 now. You can't afford to give somebody another $10 of that. It doesn't make sense.
And would they give you reports on what they've done?
They'll give you a report of what they've done, but it's hyped. It's a hyped report.
Right.
When you're busy, you're going to take that. But when you've got time to check,
right,
this is another layer of somebody earning money that they shouldn't. Yeah. So then again, I had to step in and say, I need to get an electrician, and I need to get a painter, and I need to get a plumber on my payroll. So that when these guys go, they fix what they need to do, straight up at the amount that is required, you pay them off and they go. Right. And that's much cheaper than getting this guy who loads everything on top.
Right.
And then wants to make this money. The first time it happened, and I looked at what we were paying and I thought, no. This guy hasn't built the property. He hasn't put blood, sweat, and tears, and he wants to walk away with 50% of my money. It's not happening.
It's not happening. I remember you called my company, Silver. Yeah. And at that point, we actually spoke on phone. So where did you hear about us, and what made you actually make that conscious decision that, you know what, I think I need to try something different?
Yeah, so I just, one of the random days I was just having breakfast and, watching a YouTube. I'd click on different channels, and it brought up this Lynn Ngugi. Yes. I rarely watch.
Shout out Lynn Ngugi.
Yeah, because I was just like, her shows are very long. Right. You look at something 10 minutes. Yep. Sometimes it's people, sobbing about someone should change them, and they say like, okay, that's too much pressure. But this one was touching on something that I was interested in. Yeah. Property management. Yeah. And so you had a software app, and then the thing that caught my eye was that you were handling property for people who are out of the country. Yes. 100%. They're not here. There's no one else to check if their rent is coming, rent is going. And then you had like sort of managers or tiered down to people who are specifically assigned to those properties to liaise with the caretakers what's going on. So I looked at that and I thought, this would work for me. I'm trying to get away from doing all this as my day job. I'm just supporting Chama, but 3 times a week, I'm having to do this. No one is paying me for it. No one understands the time I spend on my phone, on my printer, on my computer. All these things, and I'm not charging my Chama for them and my time. But because I'm a member and I don't want to lose,
you have to be.
I have to be, and then that supports everyone else, because then they're not losing, because I'm not accepting to lose. And because I have a little time, but it was taking more of the time than necessary. And I looked at what you were saying, I listened very keenly, and I thought, this could work. So I listened till the end, and I took down the contact. And I think after 2 days, I called. Yes. And after 3 days, you came to my, we had a meeting. And then I made up my mind that this is the person I want to use. Right. And I called my members, and we were about to have fortunately we were about to have our AGM. We were 3 months away from our AGM and meeting, and we were also 3 months away from the 1-year contract that we had with the current agent. So everything kind of just worked together when we made the decision that come the time that we're having, we're going to roll over to this new person because he can do A, B, C. I mean, you have that app that is very updated from the previous one we were using. I mean, nothing wrong with that. Everyone has their stages, but this was now resonating very well with what I wanted. Okay. An app that has that is interactive, that shows me where I'm at with every tenant and what I'll need to do if there's an issue. An app that can also pay the caretaker, and I don't have to do that myself. I can get that sorted from the app. And then the fact that you have a relationship manager who once or twice a month, and if the caretaker has an issue, can call them, can call me, can call them. Yes. So the corroborated stories of this needs to be repaired and what have you. And I felt this would be less work on my part, less paperwork.
Are you still in that situation, or do you feel some relief?
Actually, to be honest, the first month that I took you on, I didn't even look at the app. I just looked at my phone. Money's coming in, money's coming in, money's coming in. I'm like, okay, this looks like it's working. And then when I totaled the value, because if you're used to getting rent from a certain property, you know what you should receive generally over your head.
Yes.
And I was looking, I'm thinking, okay, this is really cool. Even minus the agency fee, looks like I'm doing quite well here.
Yeah.
And I thought, and I know you kept telling me, have you gone on? And I was busy. I was like, I'll do. But eventually when I went on, I was like, yeah, this works. And the other day when I was just checking the February, by the 15th, I just said, let me have a look and see what's going on. And majority of the collections had been done. And there were just like 5 tenants that hadn't paid. And I alerted the caretaker. He said he was aware. And I was like, why are they still there? You need to be doing something. Have you talked to Ruth?
Right.
And then he goes, yes, I'm aware. One of them said they were going to talk to you. I said, no. No one needs to talk to me beyond you.
Right.
So do what a caretaker needs to do. Awesome. And he did. And within 2 days, things had happened.
Yeah.
Payments had been made. And so I think the thing about your app, sending messages, continuously badgering the person, it's like the same thing. When I receive my Zuku, I haven't paid Zuku. I know they'll cut me off in the morning. By some time before 9 a.m., I need to. So that's the same thing.
Okay.
Yeah, not that I won't pay. I need my internet. But of course, I'm just like, yeah, I'll do that. But eventually when I've got 2 hours and I'll be cut off, I need to do this.
Right.
So I think I like that about SilkQ. That for now, I hope I won't have a disappointment that the rent collection has gone up.
Okay.
Until I'm having a feeling that somebody was playing around with the numbers. Because then, how is it possible that in the last 2 months, this is the amount that came in, and then forward, this is what's coming in.
Right.
On the onset of the investment, you look at the numbers, but you never really think about what you're going to do, what's going to happen. You learn as you go. Caretaker is a problem, so-and-so is a problem. So you get to do new things. But I would still advise that you have to visit your property at least once or twice a month, random.
Right.
Yeah. Once a fortnight or once a month, if you can't do twice. Just random to check what's going on. Is it clean? Are they doing what they're supposed to be doing?
Right.
Yeah. So, at the end of the day, you do have to involve in some way, but you need to get an agent or somebody like SilkQ who takes away that everyday checking.
And I can imagine now you have enough time to even play golf.
What a relax. Yeah. What a relief.
Well, guys, I hope that was a success. You had it, and I personally took notes, and I was very much intrigued on what you can actually do. The things that actually work out for her could easily work out for you too. And SilkQ has actually been able to walk with her through that journey. So if you're watching us today and you feel like you are part of that whole problem in the property management space, and if you want to be like her and start a new sports like golfing, please get in touch. Call that number and I'll be happy to meet you. So once again, my name is Bramwell, and today you watched the Smart Investor Show. Keep posted for the next episode. Cheers.